So over here on the side, I've looked at what we did in class last time with y equals x squared. I had a series of sequential x values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A series of their sequential y values, the first and second differences. And the big difference between a linear and a quadratic set of data was the linear set of data. The linear set of data had a constant first difference, but the quadratics didn't have a constant until the second difference. That was the whole point. That was the whole point. And hence actually why we're doing all this wonderful stuff on the board right now, is to find that consistent second difference. Okay, so far? So this was the example in class that we did together. Now, I finished off E5, E6, and E7 up here on the board. Take a look with me. Take a look with me. Take a look with me. E5, that's what we got. E6 is right here. Guess what we got? 2ax plus 3a plus b. E7, 2ax plus 5a plus b. So, please go ahead.
Well, on that
Wait a minute.
E6, where you're like eliminating your thing.
Yes.
On 4ax.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Where's the other?
Yeah, where's the other one?
There's two of them over here. So you've got 4ax minus 2ax, get you 2ax.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got it.
Or minus 2. I did the same thing. I was like,
It's okay. It's totally fine. That's why we go over stuff. It's totally fine. You're allowed to make mistakes in here. It's totally fine. I mean, it's part of the. Let's real quick. Give me your question. Say it again. Renee, thank you. That's right.
Why, when you're substituting it in on E6, so you have the answer for E5, and you just subtract?
If I were more clever, I would have done that, okay. Renee. But I was already halfway through and I realized I could have done that. Let's do a real quick overview of what the hell I did in E6. To make sure that I'm not, sometimes this might make it worse to just have everything in front of you like this.
What does it say right there though?
First difference.
What's the?
Between.
Between
f of x plus 2 and f of x plus 1.
That's great.
So, as Renee correctly pointed out, we did f of x plus 1 back here. F of x plus 1 is this whole shebang right here. So were I a more clever dude, which I'm not, I would have just taken that whole thing and put it right here. Couldn't you see that? See how this whole block right here is the same as this whole block? Because they're both f of x plus 1. I didn't realize that until Renee. I just kind of went through it and did the whole thing. Apologies. This is f of x plus 2. So you see I plugged in x plus 2 and x plus 2, and then ran the algebra on that. X plus 2 squared out is this. And you could use that geometric idea if you want to see why it's x squared plus 4x plus 4, although I'm not entirely sure how many of you bought that square argument over there.
what is that number you wrote next to first difference?
Between.
Between? Yes.
That's pissing off a lot of people.
That's what I asked him. Like that. Looks like
That's pissing off a lot of people. Between.
+1 over here.
I'm just gonna, if it's okay with you guys, I'm gonna start using b/t for between. Is that okay? Just so we know. I'm sorry. It's not a universal shortcut. And then once you blow all this through, ax squared plus 4ax plus 4a, hopefully then you see how things cancel. This ax squared cancels that one. 4ax and 2ax gives you 2ax. 4a, and there's an a over here, that gives you 3a. Bx, negative bx, gone. 2b, 1b, there's a b. C, negative c, gone. So you can kind of just walk right down the line. And somebody over here was noticing a pattern. There's a very, tell me your name again. Chris, that's right. Chris started noticing a pattern, which is really the beauty of mathematics, is searching for those patterns. He started to realize that when he went from E5 to E6, there's some similarities in the final result and also a difference in the final result. Notice how each one has a 2ax in it. Each one has a plus b on it. And that went from a to 3a. Now look at what you see over in E7, which is the next pattern up. Instead of going from x plus 1 to x, and instead of going from x plus 2 to x plus 1, that's x plus 3 to x plus 2. I'll have all the algebra. You can't see this because the damn camera's pointed the wrong way. The algebra will be in the video for you if you want to track it down later. But at the end of the day, when you file it all down, you end up with another 2ax in the front, a 5a, and a b again. So what I'd like to do, with your permission, is create a chart like we did in class, can I erase just a section of this stuff here? This first bit of algebra? I don't think anybody's going to mind erasing algebra. Good, E5 we're solid with-ish. What I want to do is, I kind of want to make the X and, yeah you are, I know you are, man. I know you are. So dot, 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 dot. At some point, we started talking about X, X plus 1, X plus 2, and X plus 3, dot, 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 dot. I'm going to come over here. It's not really visible. These are correlated with what we did over here. So all those X values basically live in this column, one bigger than the next. We then got Y values for each of those. I'm not going to bother writing those in the chart, because writing those in the chart is going to be, it's going to be forest for the trees kind of argument. You're going to see all these beautiful mathematical expressions and you're like, what the hell is that? So just realize those all have Y values. And we've already calculated them within these problems E5, E6, and E7. Okay? We've already calculated those and run through those. So then, I'm going to erase part of E7 over here as well. Oh, what the? Just follow. Remember, I'm not going to assess you on that algebra. We decided you guys don't like it very much.
We don't like it.
On average. Speaking in terms of averages here, Tiff. And I'm trying to create a chronicle of it on the... Realize, friends, realize, the YouTube video will be available for you within 24 hours and you can get all this stuff back. I'm trying to keep it on these front boards because I did get some feedback from folks that said don't write on the side boards because we can't see it.
Yeah.
So that's why I adjusted the zoom to not fisheye and I'm trying to stay on the front board, so I apologize. So you'll have it all up there. If you want to go back and look at it all, you can pause it and write down as much as you want. Promise, promise. So don't worry about these Y values. They're within all these problems that we did. All the Y values are in there. For example, this whole thing right here plus C is the Y value of that one. Okay, this whole thing right here is the Y value of that one. They're all in there. I'm not going to write them again because it's going to make you want to vomit. But I do want to do the first difference column. The first difference. I'm using the Greek letter delta for difference because that's often used in science classes. I think that's uniform enough. So when we did the first difference of f of x plus 1 and f of x, that was this right here. And it ended up being 2ax plus a plus b. So this first difference right here was 2ax plus a plus b. That was the first difference, f of x plus 1 minus f of x. E6 over there was the first difference of f of x plus 2 minus f of x plus 1. And that one was 2ax plus 3a plus b. And then E7 over here, this ridiculous thing, the first difference was 2ax plus 5a plus b. Now suppose I asked you to calculate the first difference between f of x plus 4 and f of x plus 3. Would you have to go through all this crap again? Or have you recognized the pattern that has shown itself in these three terms? Or these three trinomials? What would it be? It would be 2ax plus 7a plus b. Hot damn, yeah, it would. Hot damn, yeah, it would. Hot damn, yeah, it would. Yes? Exactly. It is predictable because it's operating purely mathematically, purely quadratically. Now, if you remember, the second differences were where the constant happened. The second differences were where the watch. Second differences. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Here we go.
Wait a minute.
No, it's okay, it's okay. So what's the difference between this and this? Just 2a's, right?
Yeah.
That's going to cancel that. That's going to cancel that. 3a minus a is just 2a. What's the difference between this and this? Remember what you guys said this one would have been had we gone down to x plus 4. The first difference would have been 2ax plus 7a plus b. Yes. Which means the second difference would be, which means you guys just proved algebraically why the second differences are constant in quadratics. Hell yeah, you did!
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole point of this, was to show that that second column comes down to the exact same value, 2a. It takes a while to get there. But anything meaningful mathematically takes a while to get to. Now, take a deep breath, for God's sake. Yeah. Now you know why. Now you know why. Some of you are wishing you didn't know why. You wish you never went through that. Please, try to break yourself of what math classes your entire life have done to you, which is make you fearful of the tests, fearful of exams. Try to experience math the way I do, which is pure wonderment. Pure wonderment. That's freaking cool! That is freaking awesome! It's like when you first discover how to hit a baseball, like, oh shit, I can do this all day long! It's that wonderment. It took you a lot of time to get to that point. Try to experience mathematics like this, like, oh my God, okay, all that algebra kind of led me to this point. The whole point of all that algebra was to get me to the point where I can actually look at something and go, holy crap, is that cool? I'm not going to put this on an exam. I'm not going to torture you with this on an exam. I'm going to use Angry Birds on the damn exam and my son's weight. Things that are fun, things that are easy to put in your TI and run a regression line on. But I hate giving you something like, oh yeah, second difference is constant. By the way, have a great day, have a great weekend. That's ridiculous. Here's why it works. You don't share the same enthusiasm as I do. That's okay. That's okay. I'm used to it. 15 years of doing this, still used to it. But now you know, and you've got it chronicled. I do apologize, Tiffany, for erasing as I was going. I do apologize for that. I run this risk of writing big enough to be legible, but then eating up so much board that when I want to go and continue, I have to erase part to make room for it. So it's all going to be there on the video for you to reference. You can pause and rewind and watch. But please, don't worry. I'm not going to make you do this stuff on an exam, especially on our freaking timed exam, for God's sake. Oh my God.
Thank you.
No! No! Good Lord.
It's just all that spring grading.
Yes! Let's talk about your exam. Want to talk about your exam a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's put your minds at ease even more. Let's put your minds at ease even more. Let's talk about the exam. Let's talk about what you can, what I want you to use, what I want you to bring with you. Let's break it down. Staring at me. Laser beams. Let's talk about the exam. What's not going to be on it, stuff like this. Okay? I think I do make you do a little bit of algebra on the take-home part to figure out how fast Usain Bolt is traveling when he crosses the 100-meter mark. But there's a perfect example in your homework that walks you through that. You can always ask me for help with that. You get a week to work on that anyway. Work with each other. Let's talk about what the exam is on Thursday. Yes, we shall. Right now. Let me click. Can I erase this middle board? You guys really don't think this is beautiful?
It is beautiful.
Okay, it's okay if you don't. It's totally fine if you don't. I think what's missing from math classes very often is that wonderment of, holy crap. Like Chris, you were over here going, wait a minute, 1, 3, 5. The pattern. We're humans. We like patterns. But sometimes you have to dig to find them. Like they're there. I could feel the collective constricting of the airway as we started working through these symbols. You're like, oh, sweet Jesus, it's like 65 all over again, and I hated it then. But then you have to do that to get to the point where it's like, holy crap. 1, 3, 5, 7. There it is. Just like it was here. 3, 5, 7, 9. It's here. But there it is generally, not just specifically. If I was to do something like a bastard and say, oh, by the way, stand up 3 feet before you shoot that rifle. What's the bullet going to be now? Oh, shit. Now we got to go back and roll the numbers again. Or you just go over there and you run the numbers generally and you got it done. I mean, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to run tables when you have gym. I'm not making you convinced. That's okay. That's all right. It's still there's wonderment here. There's wonderment here. And I just wish American schooling would somehow capture that.
Amen to that.
Yeah, when I watch my son counting, let's count in Spanish, Dad. Let's count by twos. I'm like, what happens between age 5 and age 15? When does it become, shit, algebra class? Yeah. When does that happen? When does the wonderment fade? I don't know. It doesn't?
There are some of you that are passionate and love math, and they really are out there.
Insanity helps, yes.
The rest of us don't get it, where it's painful.
But I worry though, because I could see that, even though I'm totally stoked up here, I still could see it creeping in today. As soon as I went to this.
Yeah, because we are the ones in this class that aren't the ones that get it and are passionate about it. Because I know people like you, and I love your class only because of your.
So I have to find you guys like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to
Exactly.
put math to real world.
Find us young.
Finding you guys way back in the day.
Yeah.
Find us at
Started
math
detecting you then.
20, math 20 and math 30. Find us there.
What are you thinking, Harmony? What are you thinking? What are you
And
thinking?
we wouldn't have forgotten it.
Me? Okay, sorry.
Oh wait, Harmony's up here. Echo's back there. Yes.
I think the problem is that over half the teachers in middle school and high school are teaching math because, I have to teach math.
Yeah.
And there's like maybe 3 or 4.
Oh, interesting.
Here's what we're doing.
Oh, interesting.
We're passionate about it.
Interesting. Well, there's also the problem of state testing. That's a huge problem, is that so much is taught to the test nowadays that there's not time to like spend an hour on discovering, oh my God, it's 2A. Oh my God, it's 2A.
They don't have that kind
And if you look at the homework solutions, it's right there. I get 2A. How about you? I mean, it's just like it's right there, but like the developing of where the 2A comes from is kind of hidden amongst all this algebra. And it's a shame. It's a shame, I think.
My daughter's a freshman, and she's actually gone twice to the math contest.
Oh,
that you guys
fantastic.
had. Yeah,
Awesome.
and she loves it.
Dude, next year, heavy metal math.
I know, she's, I think
So
she's
excited.
in geometry right now. But she said with the state testing, nothing was on there that they had already been
No.
taught. And they were timed on
I
it too,
know.
so it just kind of.
It's a surefire way. That's why I started working with ways to take some of the timed assessments away from you guys. Hence the out-of-class part of your exam due next week. It takes the pressure off of you a little bit more. But what caught me off guard was so many students voted. They said we still want an in-class part. I'll reassess. I'm going to resurvey. I'm going to resurvey at the end of this class. I'm going to send you guys an anonymous SurveyMonkey survey and ask you what your thoughts are. I'm curious to see. All my classes, 243, 244, 105, my previous class, I want to know, we want to get new opinions. I want to get 1 year later opinions and see if the opinion still stands. I don't want to color it one way or the other. But I want you to give me your opinion. If you think it should still be, if you like the way it was set up, if you would change it. I just want to get some opinions and see what I mean, after you've done it for an entire term and see how it kind of washes out.
I think that would depend also on your level of math class, too.
It might, and I'll see that in the data. If it does, it might be contingent upon whether it's 100, 200 developmental. We'll see that. The data will show me something, hopefully. Or it'll just show me nothing, and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Let's talk about your exam. Yeah, exam number 1.
Yay!
Okay, two sections. And this is just the in-class part. The out-of-class part, you can download it, look at it, look over it, use your notes, use everything you need. As far as what you can use on this exam, bring the little booklet I gave you. That little booklet with all the steps about how to input data, how to run a regression, you're going to want to bring that, yeah. Unless you have it memorized. And even if you don't have it memorized, you're probably going to want to bring it anyway. Please.
Can I use my computer since I've got my TI on?
Yes, of course, you have to, right? You have to. Crap, I had a thought there, it's going.
Bring booklet,
Bring the booklet, thank you. Bring the booklet because the series of steps, especially the error messages that come out. And I want to say something about that. If you're working on the exam and you start getting error messages, don't sit there and panic. Come get me and ask me, and I'll fix the problem quickly. I don't want you to sit there and spend 15 minutes trying to solve a problem on you. You're not alone with the technological issues on the TI. I'm starting to realize how different your background is using those things. I just assume, again, I assume there's a modal level of TI proficiency coming into 105, and I'm realizing that there is a modal level, but there's also a big tail of that bell curve on both sides. I totally get that. I get that, and that's to be expected. It's just wider than I thought it was, and that's okay. If it's not, no, dude, I'm not pointing fingers. All I'm saying is it depends on who you had 95 with and when you had it. Some people never, I've talked to students from other schools who never touch a TI in Math 95. At this school, in 95, at least currently, that's half or more of what the class is using technology to augment 60 and 65. So we've got this wide range of values. So the point is, if you're sitting at the exam getting an error, come see me and I'll fix it very quickly. Don't sit there and suffer through it. Okay, so bring your book. Bring your book. Let's put that on here. Bring booklet. Okay. As far as topics, I'm still kind of setting it up, but here's what I've got so far. I've got a question. We'll break it down by the two sections, linear modeling and quadratic modeling. And again, this is just the in-class part, not the out-of-class part. Quadratic modeling. Okay. Please, Ben.
Is the booklet on the internet? Can we print it?
I can put it there if it's not there. I'm not sure if it is or not. Send me an email.
So
If you haven't, it's not on there. Do me a favor. Shoot me an email later and remind me to post it. I'll put a link on it with the downloadable for it. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. I don't. It might already be there, but that'll give me a self-check. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. Linear modeling. Basically, there's two types of problems I'm pulling from that. One is grade.
I like those.
Good.
Very
Well, then I've got one.
Thank you.
Calculating percent grade. Don't forget Pythagoras for that. If you want, I will put the formula for Pythagoras on the board
Thank you.
on Thursday. Do not memorize it. So what do you have to know about it? If you don't have to memorize it, make sure you know how to use it. I'd much rather you focus your time on how to use Pythagoras than memorizing an a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Because people that memorize a squared plus b squared equals c squared, it's basically a coin flip if they do it right. Basically, that's what I've learned historically. About half the time, students that memorize a squared plus b squared plus c squared get it right half the time, wrong half the time. That sucks. That sucks. I don't want 0.5%. I don't want 50% success. If I give you the formula, all you've got to make sure you remember. All you've got to make sure you remember. You got a hypotenuse, and you've got a rise, and you've got a run. So if you have to know this, but I think everybody knows this. I mean, we've talked about this enough, and plus you've lived your life enough, I think, to realize this is what's going on. This is one of those things that doesn't go away from algebra. When you've got a diagonal line, it's got to rise and it's got to run. Sometimes the rise is negative, but it's got to rise and it's got to run. So if I write on the board, hypotenuse squared equals rise squared plus run squared, you'll know exactly what you have to do based off of that image. And I actually put the image on the exam for you. I drew out the actual scenario I have you analyze. I think it's Pilot View. It's a homework I do on Pilot View. How do you analyze the percent grade of that?
Cool.
So,
That's fine.
applicable. Because it actually came up when I was running it with some friends about 6 months ago. Holy crap, how steep is this? I'm like, funny you should ask. Let's figure it out. They're like, Jesus, no. Let's just run. It's bad enough I'm gonna run this thing with you.
It feels like 20
But that's the idea. It's applicable. It's part of our lives, at least part of this ridiculous dude's life. Cool?
Yeah.
Fair enough? So that's part of it, is the grade issue. Another part is actually linear modeling, in which you have a bunch of data points. You get the data points. This is where you're going to want your booklet. You run the data points into your TI, and then you get that best fit line. Oh, yeah, you do. And then I can ask you some questions about that. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I think I used my son's weight on this one from birth to like 9 months. I tracked his weight for a while, like each month from like birth to 9 months. And it's almost perfectly linear. So I'm using his weight, and then I'm going to ask you questions like, how much is he going to weigh at age 2, or at age 4, or at age whatever. You know, basically how much he's going to. So basically using it as a predictive tool, and whether or not you should. We'll answer that too in the exam as well. Okay, again, contextual, not just. I know some of the homework questions you guys did you could care less about.
No.
Like the tree circumference, like who cares? Well, the natural resource guys and girls might care. But the rest of you are like, who gives a crap? If I use my son's weight, it's like, okay, we got some parents in here. Maybe we'll have more parents later as time goes on. Maybe we do care about this. You're tracking your kids' weights because you want to make sure they're not malnourished or overnourished. And there's all kinds of reasons why you want to track weights. So I use Max as an example for that. Hopefully it's
Oh yeah,
interesting.
thanks for that BMI that
Yeah,
tells
that
me I
was
need to
awful.
lose 20 pounds. Thanks a lot.
Hey, What did I say next after the BMI calculation?
Oh, you know, I saw that.
Does BMI in isolation is a terrible measure. I had a student in my 244 class not 2 hours ago that said, my husband's 6'6". They were trying to do his BMI on the chart. It stopped at 6'4".
Yes.
So they just used 6'4" instead of 6'6". They said, your BMI is off the charts. That dude's a bodybuilder. Of course he's off the chart. He's called obese because he's solid muscle. He's like 7% body fat. Of course he's going to call him obese because he weighs too much by the. Hey!
I know, it's fun.
Oh, easy. Anyway, yes, but that's the problem with using one data point in isolation.
And that's what we said too.
It's a
That's
problem.
exactly
It's a problem.
what we said. It's a problem.
Cool so far?
Yes.
So here's 1 and 2 from that one. Quadratic modeling is going to be essentially the exact same thing as linear modeling, almost identically the exact same thing, except this is where the Angry Birds is going to come in. I've got Angry Birds, if you've played the game, you know this. If you've watched the game being played, you know this. When you actually let the bird go, it follows the track of a parabola as if being influenced by gravity. Pretty slick, pretty slick. So what I did was I took a screenshot of it and got some points on the screenshot and then gave you the coordinates of the points, and then you'll do the exact same thing you did here. You have the data points, which then you're going to run into your TI. Again, you're going to want your booklet for that. Because the booklet, although the booklet is set up to do a linear regression, 99.999% of the booklet is exactly the same for a quadratic regression, except instead of picking linreg, you pick quadreg. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. Run through your